back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Holly and this is my booktube channel. First things first, I have 2 dogs if you're new here. Second of all, they make a lot of noise sometimes in the background of my videos. Currently, Chief is chewing on one of those like really tough bully make toys and it is just super loud from where I'm sitting. I don't know if y'all can hear it. I'm gonna do my best in the editing process to edit it out and try to get rid of it, but we'll see how that goes. And third, Judge, my other dog, he's obsessed with like lights and shadows, and right now, because I'm using my camera light, because it's really like cloudy outside, there are like shadows behind me on the wall and he's trying to get them. So I'm really hoping he just sits still and watches them and he doesn't try to grab them, because sometimes that happens. And anyway, most importantly, it is October. Finally, one of the best months of the year, in my opinion. I have all my Halloween decorations up, I've got my Halloween mug, and I am just so happy that it is October. Right now, I think it looks like I have black, creepy Halloween branches growing out of my head, but you know what? We're rolling with it because I have to talk about some recent reads today, so some books that I have recently finished reading and my thoughts on each. So let's get into it. First up, I have End of Watch by Stephen King, which y'all have probably heard me talk about a million times, so I won't sit here with it too long, but it is the 3rd book in the Bill Hodges trilogy, and I finished it up at like the tail end of August, maybe at the first couple days of September, and I didn't like it as much as the first book, and I feel like I said that about the 2nd book in the trilogy as well. This one was back to more of the original story around Brady Hartsfield, I think that's his name, and Bill Hodges and Holly Gibney and Jerome Robinson, all the characters that we're used to from the first book, which I liked, but it got a little like weird for me. I feel like it's so hard to talk about without spoiling it, but there's some stuff that happens with these electronic gadgets called zappets, and Brady Hartsfield, the serial killer from the first book, is still alive in this book. I hope that didn't just ruin the trilogy for anybody. Sorry if it did. But anyway, if you've gotten this far in the trilogy, you know he's still alive. He's supposedly brain dead. And there's this thing that's going on with him, and it's hard to say it without spoiling it, but the stuff that's going on with him and the zappets and the electronic things and what's going on in his mind was just a bit much for me. I feel like it was just really unbelievable, and it was kind of a reach and a stretch, and it really took away from the book for me. I gave this a 3-star because I do love the Bill Hodges gang and all of their, detective adventures, and I love the trilogy in general, but I just feel like it was really hard to top the first book, Mr. Mercedes. I feel like the 2nd and 3rd books just kind of fell flat for me. But yeah, if you've read this, let me know what you thought, and maybe what you thought in comparison to the other books in the trilogy. However, End of Watch does lead me to the next book that I read, which was Holly by Stephen King, the book that I had been waiting for a very, very long time. This was I don't even know what you would call it, but it's supposedly connected to the Bill Hodges trilogy. It didn't make it like a 4-part series or anything, but this is centered around Holly Gibney, obviously one of the main characters from the Bill Hodges trilogy. She is a very interesting character, and while King never really comes out and says it, a lot of people that are fans of Stephen King's work in the Bill Hodges trilogy, they think that Holly has a form of Asperger's or autism, that kind of thing, because she's got, I don't want to call them quirks, but she just has, the way her mind works is just different, and the things that she hyper focuses on are different, but she's extremely intelligent and a really good detective, and this book is basically centered completely around her. This book, I believe I gave 4 stars, and the reason that it didn't make 5 is because, okay, it is a really, really solid story. Like, I loved it. And I'm gonna say this about it because it's in the first chapter, so I don't think it's a spoiler, but you find out right off the bat that there's this creepy elderly couple who are cannibals. Yeah, I mean, right out of the gate, the first chapter, you find out they're cannibals. They are sneakily capturing people and eating them. Yes, I mean, if you're like fascinated by that kind of thing, as gross as it is, you're probably really gonna like this. And it's a solid story, and it's all about Holly trying to figure out who in the world is behind this and where all these people are disappearing to, and she has no idea. It's this little elderly couple. So it's kind of a cool book where you already know who did it. It's just a matter of Holly getting there and figuring it out, and you're going along with her, and you're getting perspective from both the villain, the antagonist, I guess. I always get those mixed up, and Holly. Awesome story in that regard. I have really no complaints there. I loved that aspect of it. The part that docked it a star for me was that this takes place during COVID, or sort of right after, like 2021-ish, when it's still kind of a thing. It's such a heavy theme in this book, like to the point where I was just so irritated, because King is not shy about inserting his own political views and social views on the topic, which is fine. I don't care where you stand in the COVID debate. Frankly, I think we're all a little sick of hearing about it. So that was another reason that it docked a star, because I'm just so sick of hearing about COVID and politics. I read books to get away from all of that, so I really don't want it finding its way to me in my books. But it was just such, like, it was really just shoved down your throat. Like, it just got to the point, like, where it was taking away from what was going on. We were kind of like, okay, cool, King, we get it. Like, we get, you know, where you stand on all of this, that's fine, but can we get back to the cannibals and the story, the cool stuff? Like, we're sick of hearing about masks and, you know, Trump and politics and just all of that. And I'm not even, like, I don't even care where you stand. I consider myself an independent politically. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I just choose the best person for the job, in my opinion. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So I'm not saying I disliked it because of King's stance. That's what I'm trying to get at. I'm not saying I disliked it because of King's political stance, like because of the stance itself, but just the fact that it was in there. Like, get it out. Get politics and COVID out of my fun reading stories. I want to read about cannibals and Holly Gibney and her trying to solve the mystery. That's all I care about. So if you read it and you kind of get what I'm talking about, I feel like I went on a really disjointed, unorganized mini rant there about politics in books. But if you read it, let me know your thoughts. Maybe it worked for you. Maybe you liked all the political stuff. I don't know. So in any event, as a solid story, 4-star read, I loved it, really loved the story. I love a good cannibal story, which I really don't know what that says about me, but I think it's just fascinating. So yeah, there you have it. That's Holly by Stephen King. Next up is a book that I've been trying to get to for a long time, and that is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. Michaelides. This one came around BookTube and Bookstagram quite a while ago, and I just never picked it up. And one of my friends, Kendall, over at Bookphoria, she heard that I hadn't read it, and she was like, Holly, get to it. I need you to read this book. So I finally did. It took me maybe a day. It's an easy, fast-paced thriller, and you just can't wait to unravel it. It's like once you start pulling at one little thread, it just starts unraveling, and you can't wait to get to the end. So basically, a quick synopsis. There's this woman who shot her husband and then never spoke another word. And you're following the point of view of the psychologist that wants to work with her and try to get her to talk, to figure out what happened, why she just killed her husband out of nowhere when there was seemingly no issues in their marriage. And you just follow it from there. And when I tell you, the plot twist had me just shocked. I audibly gasped when I got to that part of the book, and I won't spoil it, obviously, but if you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. I had to sit there for a second and stare at the wall, and then I had to reread it again and make sure I understood, because it just hits you out of nowhere. You're following this story and you think you believe one thing and you think you support certain characters, and then all of a sudden, bam, 180, your whole view of everything shifts, and it's epic. It's awesome. If you haven't read it, I think you'll love it. It's easy to read, it's fast-paced, and a definite good time. There you have it. That is The Silent Patient, a really good psychological thriller by Michaelides. Next up, I read The Intern by Michele Campbell. This was my book of the month pick for, September. It was September. Oh, I got to the book of the month pick in the actual month that it was for. I tend to like let them pile up and read them completely out of order, but I did get to this one in the month that I picked it in. So this was, no, it's not a debut novel for this author. I think she's written one other for sure, maybe more than one. This was definitely the first one that I've read by her, and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars, and maybe I'm a little biased. It is a legal thriller, and if you're new here, I'm an attorney. I love legal thrillers. They just get me, especially if they're really well written. And this author was an attorney herself, so she has a unique perspective, and a lot of what she writes is accurate to the legal profession, but she does it in a way that is not even close to boring. The premise of the story is that you're following, obviously, an intern. She is a Harvard law student, and she gets an internship with this really prominent judge that she's always admired. And kind of the interesting part of her story is that her brother is in jail, and his case is before this judge that she's interning for, but the judge doesn't know that's her brother, and she's afraid if the judge finds out that it's gonna cost her her internship and her career and just cause a whole host of issues for her. The more she works for this judge, the more she realizes the judge has secrets of her own. And without spoiling it, it really just dives into this whole world of the judge's life and her background and all the crazy secrets, and how this intern is wrapped up in all of it, and how her brother's case is wrapped up and connected in all of it. It's just wild, and I loved it. I thought the legal stuff was really accurate, but it was fun, and I feel like it could be a really good movie. I feel like people would watch this if it was a movie, and if you haven't read it, I think you'd really like it. It was a quick read, a really good legal thriller, and I highly enjoyed it. So I'm very pleased to say I gave 5 stars to The Intern by Michele Campbell. The next book I read is one that I checked out from the library, so I do not have a physical copy, but I'll make sure to put it up here on the screen, and that is Cackle by Rachel Harrison. This one was very popular last year, and I never got to it. Rachel Harrison in general has been really popular in the last few years anyway, and I think she has a recent book that just came out called Black Sheep. I haven't read that one yet either. Cackle was the first one I've read by her, and I really enjoyed it. I wasn't sure what to expect going into this book. I thought it was going to be more horror-esque, and it is in some ways, but I realized Rachel Harrison has this amazing ability to take something kind of, supernatural, like witches. Obviously Cackle, there's a witch element to it, and she has a larger, I don't even know if you want to call it a social commentary, but just more of a moral lesson or a commentary on a larger issue, which I loved. It might sound boring, but it's not. She does it in a way that you just get so sucked into the story and the character and their life and what they're going through, but you're also getting to read about these cool, magical elements and these witchy elements, and her ability to write atmosphere is awesome. It's a really amazing fall read. The fall atmosphere is great. The spooky kind of eerie vibes are great, and I just loved it. It makes me really excited to pick up Such Sharp Teeth by her. I did pick up that one recently. I think I might have shared that in a recent video, or maybe I didn't. I don't know. I don't know if I've shared that, but I did pick that up recently. And I think that is her take on a werewolf story. So I'm really interested to see what her larger commentary and moral issue is in that one connected with werewolves, because Cackle was so good. It was such an unexpected read that I didn't think I would like, but I really, really did. So if you've read it, you may know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, give it a shot. I think you'll really enjoy it. And lastly, on my recent reads, books I've read recently, is Clown in a Cornfield by Adam, I don't know if he says Cesare, like the Spanish pronunciation, or if it's Cesare? Cesare? I don't know. This. If you can tell me how to pronounce that, let me know. I could not wait to get to this. I wanted to wait until it was a little bit closer to Halloween, but I couldn't wait. It was calling to me. I had to read it. It was so stinking good. This one was widely popular, I think again last year, and I never got around to it. I'm horrible about jumping on new releases sometimes, but I got to it anyway, and it is awesome. It is basically, think Footloose with murderous clowns. Just, that's the best way I can describe this. There is a town where, it's like a small town in, I want to say Iowa. Nope, Missouri. Excuse me. Missouri. Kettle Springs, Missouri. I knew it was a place with a lot of cornfields. I just couldn't think of which one. So, Missouri. Takes place in a tiny town in Missouri. And the teenagers that live there, particularly this one group of them, have really been causing a lot of trouble in town, a lot of just mischief and issues, and the adults and the teenagers are just butting heads. They're at odds, they're irritated with each other, the adults are sick of the teenagers. I like my dogs are making crazy amounts of noise. Anyway, you've got this tiny town where adults and teenagers are at odds, and you're following the main character Quinn, who just recently moved to Kettle Springs from Philadelphia, I believe, and it's kind of a culture shock. She comes from being a total city kid to moving out where there's nothing but cornfields practically, and she gets kind of wrapped into this group of teenagers that it has been causing a lot of problems around town, and it all just kind of unravels from there, but it unravels really quickly. Like, she gets invited to this party out in the cornfield, basically, near someone's farm. And that's when the murderous clown appears and just starts picking kids off one by one. And it is just mayhem and a perfect horror book from there on out. It's got gruesome, gory details. It's scary. It's just fun. I know that sounds weird, like murderous clowns being fun, but it is a lot of fun, and this could be such a good movie. I'm really anxious to get to Clown in a Cornfield 2, Friendo Lives. Friendo is the name of the clown. Kettle Springs, their pretty much town mascot is this creepy clown, Friendo. He was kind of the mascot for this corn syrup brand that the town used to be famous for, so that's why the clown. That's how that sort of enters the picture. But apparently in Clown in Cornfield 2, as the title would suggest, Friendo lives, which you get to this book thinking they got him, like they dealt with him, he's done, you know, kind of like Halloween, the movie Halloween, where he just keeps coming back. So I don't know. I'm anxious to get to number 2. This one was so fun. It was just a really quick, like fun, quintessential Halloween, creepy, murderous clowns story, and I loved it. And I think it had some really good commentary on the different generations, and it wasn't real heavy, so don't worry. It's not going to be an entire commentary on that, but it was just enough of a sprinkle of commentary on different generations and their perspectives that I really appreciated and I really liked, and really added to the story in a cool way. So there you have it, Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Cesare. We're going to go with Cesare. Caesar. So I think that is, I'm checking my book cart one more time, I think that is all the recent reads I have for you right now. I am kind of trying to take pressure off myself and just do recent reads instead of strict monthly wrap-ups. I'm just trying to do recent reads when I have a good batch of them to talk about, and it helps keep my memory fresh on some of the books. Even this was a little tough because some of them I read at the very beginning of the month, So hopefully I'll do a little bit more frequent recent reads, and that will help my review and clarity of the books. I hope you enjoyed seeing some of my recent reads and thoughts on books that I've read. Let me know if you've read any of these and what you thought of them. I should have a book haul coming up because I've been book shopping a little bit lately, kind of just picking up books here and there, and our library is having they do like a periodic book sale where they try to get rid of some of their overstock inventory that they have. Maybe they have multiple of some books, and they do a sale periodically, and they're having one this next coming weekend. So I should hopefully have some more books to share from that haul. But yeah, I'm thinking a book haul might be my next video. So be on the lookout for that, and let me know what you're reading and how October is going for you so far. I hope y'all have an amazing week, and I will see you in the next video. Bye y'all.